lot of confusion. I felt like, why is this happening to me? I didn't know how to control it. I didn't know where it was coming from, and it just made no sense. What is up, guys? Today I want to talk about something that I think our society just as a whole should be way more educated on, because I feel like if they had this education, they would stop creating so much pain in their lives. When I see people that are my age, living their life, doing the typical thing that we do in our early 20s, which is go to the clubs, go get drunk, doing questionable things in our intimate lives, and not acting in alignment with who your highest and best self is. And so what I want to talk about today is karmic debt. So first, I'm going to start by completely explaining what karmic debt is. That way, if before this point you didn't understand what it is, now you're going to have a full explanation. And then we're going to go over all of the things that you need to know about karmic debt. So first off, what is karmic debt? So basically, karmic debt is when you act out of alignment with your higher self. You have people governing you. You have God and you have the devil. And if you don't believe in God, then go watch another video that I'm gonna make, and I haven't made it yet, but it's why do I believe in God? Because I actually grew up in an atheist home with zero beliefs of God, creator, the universe, source, whatever you want to call it. We're always talking about the same thing whenever we reference this type of energy. And I grew up in a home that completely was against this, and there was zero presence of God, and we would make fun of other people for believing in God, going to church, etc., etc. Later in life, because of certain circumstances, I ended up starting to believe that we have God and the devil, and I really understood why things were happening in my life, because up until that point, I just saw myself as a victim. I didn't believe that anyone was watching me all of the time. I didn't understand why certain things were always happening in my life. And I didn't understand how I was creating the massive pain that I had in my life. I didn't have a lot of clarity. I had a lot of confusion. I felt like, why is this happening to me? I didn't know how to control it. I didn't know where it was coming from, and it just made no sense. But once I started connecting to this type of energy and getting a different understanding, then karmic debt started to make a lot of sense to me. When you use some kind of substance or some kind of backstep, or you do an act that is not constructive towards your highest and best self, you actually pay debt for that. So karmic comes from the word karma, and debt is something that you have to repay. So because let's say if you do something bad, either to other people or to yourself, you do have a debt that needs to be paid. I then started to understand why doing drugs and drinking became so prevalent to so many people, and why it was a huge no-no. And then I started understanding why being promiscuous was a huge no-no, because all of these things are very black and white when it comes to, is this constructive and is this in your highest and best good? When you realize that there is that difference between what's in your highest and best good and what's not, and then you start to see the patterns in your life. So for me, when I was acting in this lower energy over here, and I was doing things that were incongruent with my highest and best self, I noticed a lot of turbulence in my life. I noticed a lot of hardship, a lot of victim mentality. There was a lot of things that were just not working out for me in life. I had a lot of issues amongst different categories of my life. And just overall, things were very, very challenging. All right, sorry about that, guys. We have some supper cooking in the background here, and I needed to go check and make sure everything was as it should be. When I was acting like in accordance with this lower energy and I was responding to the devil, then I was like getting got by God, because God was like, you are supposed to be on this path and you're not supposed to be doing those things with your life and your time and your energy. And then I would have debt to repay. So like I was saying, it was very turbulent and it was very difficult, and I felt like there was a lack of clarity, there was a lack of energy, a lack of excitement and gratitude, appreciation and enjoyment overall for life. And all of these things were like the zest and juice of life, which I desired so much. And then once I started understanding that I can amass karmic debt, and I can also choose to not amass karmic debt. So we briefly went over how you create it. It's by acting in accordance with things that aren't within your highest and best self and basically playing into the hand of the devil. One way that I think, obviously, like drinking, doing drugs, going out partying, I'm not saying that you can't enjoy yourself, but the gratification that you get by doing something hard, sticking to it, and then achieving the goal is way more orgasmic. Like if you're looking for a high off of life, you want to do these things, because drugs are like here and partying is here, but like achieving your life goals and like cold plunges, man, those are up here. That shit is like next level. Cocaine is nothing compared to the high that you get from actually doing productive shit. Because then what happens is your whole life becomes in alignment, and it's so beautiful because you literally produce miracles in your life, and things start to go so fast because you've actually changed yourself and done the work to attract all of the things that you're looking for. And it's absolutely beautiful. How do you get rid of it? So let's say that you're living a life and you're like, fuck, like I do those things. Like some of the things that you mentioned is totally something that I do in my day-to-day life, and I really want to stop having a turbulent life. I want to stop being in pain. I want to stop having all of this like confusion and lack of clarity in my life and lack of purpose, and I want to get those highs that you're talking about. So how do I go about getting rid of all of the karmic debt that I had and creating the circumstances that you're talking about? So all that you have to do is, for me, my biggest thing, getting me there, and I look at literally all of the top performers that I see, and we're all the same. We have a program. We don't have white space on our calendar. We're scheduled. We're routined. We know what our goal is, and then we push ourselves to that. For me, at the start, it was really based on action and tangible things, and then once I started getting more in depth, then I kind of leveled up from there. But the level that you want to start off with is look at like your tangible day. Look at like tangible actions that you can do. And then from there, you're going to basically get better at what you're doing, and then realize that there's like a whole nother level as you go down the rabbit hole. Another thing that I want to add is that karmic debt can actually be brought from past lives. So now this is probably not something that you want to hear. You're probably like, are you fucking serious? I'm fucking serious. It happens, and I literally just lived a life experience that was me paying my karmic debt from a past life. So you can go online and you can do some research. You can look in to see like what kind of karmic debt you've accrued in your past life by just knowing your birthday and where you were born, because the physical place and time and day that you manifest on this earth is all connected to the amount of karmic debt and what kind of karmic debt you may or may not. You know what? You may not have karmic debt from past life, but it's definitely worth looking into. And what's cool is my boyfriend actually carried no karmic debt from past life. So I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. But for me, from my past life, I did carry over karmic debt, and what my spiritual learning was in this life was I needed to learn how to be alone and be independent, but then I needed to like kind of walk that path on my own, get my own success, get my own confidence up and believe in myself. And then what I needed to do is actually switch my way of working and then work in a family setting instead and have that interdependence, have a group of people all working towards the same thing. And then that was like my karmic debt. And so it's not always going to be incredibly bad, because life karmic debt is just a lesson. Your soul manifests here to master and attain virtues, but also to learn life lessons so that your soul can carry those on to the next life. I might be going too in depth for you here, but I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm going to make more videos going into more depth on all of these things, and I really, really strongly recommend that. I'm going to link this video when I come up with it. It's going to come out next Friday, but I'm going to link it here if it's already out. That way you can go watch it. And I just really want you to see and understand for yourself how I got into having all of these beliefs, because I believe that is really, really important to be able to see and accept someone's beliefs. But if you really want to like change your whole life, you need to understand why they believe that way and what those crazy pivotal moments in that person's life that made them literally go 180 from what beliefs they had before and completely change their life. But on top of that, manifest incredibly great life experiences. I never know how to finish videos, so I'm just gonna stop talking and leave.